reviewing 6 books that I read previously and enjoyed to varying degrees. I'm going to give them all a review. Keep in mind, just because I didn't like a particular book doesn't mean that you won't like it. The first book I'm going to talk about is called I Am Having So Much Fun Here Without You by Mom. Now, this book follows a struggling artist who finally finds a piece of art that's going to sell. The problem is this piece of art that he's asked to do again and again and again, he thinks is below him and below his artistic ability, but it's the only thing that he can do that will sell. So he's sort of dealing with that and figuring out who he is as a person and artist, while he's also dealing with a mistress that he's had for quite some time. He's married, he has a kid, his wife has known about the affair, she's very cold to him, and this is kind of where I had a problem with the book. Not the flawed main character, not the affair, but the fact that our character whines again and again and again and again about the fact that his wife is cold to him and doesn't seem very loving. First or second time he was whining about it, fine. It's hard being married, it's hard living life after someone has cheated, whether you are the person who's been cheated on or the person who was cheated, it's hard. Okay, you can whine about it a little bit. After the third time, goes on this huge long tangent about his situation and oh, woe is me, and he still hasn't done anything about it. I lost my patience with it and I closed the book and I'm not going to finish it. The next book I read is called Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. This book I really, really did enjoy. Leanne's writing in particular is stunning. I definitely want to check out more books from her. She just has this way of writing that really pulls you in. So the premise of the book is there is a murder that has happened. We don't know who is murdered, we don't know under what circumstances, we don't really know anything about it, but we are given in between the chapters little clues, and we follow mainly 3 women. The primary character, I would say, we follow Jane and Iggy. Jane is a mother, a very young mother. Iggy is her son. They just moved to a new town, and Iggy is in kindergarten, so he goes to the first day of kindergarten, has a lot of fun. When the parents come to pick the children up, the little girl starts crying that one of the boys has hurt her. When the teacher, Iggy says that he didn't do it, and his mother believes Iggy because she feels like she knows Iggy and knows what he's about, and she just doesn't think that he's lying, and she doesn't think that he did it. None of the other mothers like this very much, because of a whole slew of reasons. They're pretty biased against Jane just because she's new to town, and it's a pretty small town, pretty gossipy, it's pretty cliquey. We find out things through gossip that we don't really know if it's true or not. We kind of to think of any of the characters, but you get to see multiple points of view, so you get very close to certain characters. For just about every main storyline we follow, there is at least 1 or 2 times that I've just cried for these characters. They're just in the most difficult circumstances. A lot of their pain is very secret, and they feel like they have to lie about it or they have to keep it under wraps, and they're just dealing with these huge, big issues with no one really to turn to, and poor Iggy. I felt the worst for Iggy because at one point he says to his mom that all he wants to do is play Power Rangers with the other kids and no one will play with him, and he's just crying and crying and crying. He doesn't know why no one will play with him, and poor Iggy, he's just a kindergartner. Poor Iggy. It was so bad. Anyways, I really liked the book a lot. I really liked it. I recommend it. I gave it 5 stars out of 5. The other book I read was Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. I know a lot of people really like this book, and I went into it with very high hopes. It follows 2 teenagers who are sort of outcasts and meet and connect and fall in love, and it's just a very sweet story that follows mostly them 2. I probably would have liked this a little more if I read it when I was in high school, but being a 25-year-old mother, you know, the teenage love stuff for the most part doesn't hit me the same way that it used to, because I just, you know. So I gave it 3 stars out of 5. The book I read before that is called Queen of the Tearling by... This book was really highly recommended. The first few chapters reminded me a little of Sleeping Beauty. It had that sense to it where, you know, the king and queen send the daughter away until she's of a certain age and then she can kind of come back. That's what has basically happened. So Kelsey is Sleeping Beauty and she comes back to her kingdom when she's old enough. She comes back to her kingdom years later and now has to win the throne back from her uncle who is sitting on it. And she has to prove herself to everyone who doesn't believe that she can do it, thinks she's a stupid country girl. I thought it was well written, it was well paced, it was, you know, there were those moments that I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Or, oh my god, that's so weird, but cool at the same time. Like, I'm grossed out, but that's awesome. And, you know, there's a lot of mystery behind the details of the story. I'm not really sure of. And it was only about a month ago that I read it, so I'm not sure what that says about the book. I remember I gave it 4 stars out of 5. It has some fantastical elements to it. It has some darkness. It has some politics, but it's not overwhelming. I generally don't like political books with any politics in them at all, but this was fine for me. I really liked it, and I was really excited to pick up the next few books in the series because it is a part of a series. I just haven't done so yet. Yes, I read Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. The premise of the book seemed so awesome. It's set at a circus that is only held at night, and it's very mysterious. It just sort of like pops up, and it's all black and white, and it's actual real magic. So the people going to the circus thinks everything's just a really clever trick, and really it's actual magic. There's 2 magicians who run it, who are responsible for the magic, and they're in some sort of duel against each other. I don't know, it seems like such an awesome book. I went into it thinking I was really, really gonna love it. I had high hopes for it. It sounded like such a perfect marriage of things that I love, and it just didn't really hit home for me. A lot of the thing, it seems very pieced together, and the plot was kind of like all over the place. I couldn't follow it very well. When it goes into describing the circus and describing the acts in the circus and describing the different tents, that was by far my favorite part of the book. I really loved just the whole setting of the circus and the idea of the circus more than I enjoyed the characters and things that were going on and the plot and the love and the all that other stuff. So, but the actual circus was awesome, and I really enjoyed reading about it. I gave it 3 stars out of 5. What I'm going to talk about is called Flickerman. It's written by Ted Kamakata. I'm probably saying that wrong. I picked this book up at the library. The back cover basically said that it was the book that would have been written if Stephen King and Stephen Hawkins had written a book together, which I was like, yes, sign me up. There's a famous double slit experiment where there's photons fired through 2 slits, and depending on outside circumstances, the photons can act either as a particle or a wave. It's called particle-wave duality. Schrodinger tried to explain the absurdity of it by his Schrodinger's cat analogy. If you think that was really cool and you like thinking about physics and that sort of thing, you might like Flickerman. I really like the physics part of it, and I was recommending it to like anyone who was looking at me reading this book. I was like, this is the best, this is awesome, you need to read it, it's so cool and mind-blowing, and oh my god, what is reality? And then I got to about halfway through, and there's monsters now, and it felt like the author wrote up to a certain point and went to like his friend or an editor or whatever and was like, I don't know what to do. And the friend or editor was like, I know, monsters, and now there's monsters. It just felt really like disjointed for me. I probably would have liked it better if it got about into the halfway point and just stopped and was like, all right, you figure out the ending now. But the ending that, I don't know, I didn't like the monsters, and like it was so very scientific. And then all of a sudden, there's like, these bad guys. Where did they come from? We were Where did they come from? We were talking about science and things. It was cool. It was awesome. And now what is happening? I don't know. And I really enjoyed it up until the last part. The last part really ruined it for me, though. So I gave it a 2 stars out of 5. So, anyways, those are the last 6 books that I read. I hope you enjoyed the review. Don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe, and comment. Until next time,